Hello YouTube, welcome to another episode of Hasu Hour. I'm your host Zerg. Today I'm bringing you a matchup between De Muslim and Lambo on Ruins of Saras. Ruins of Saras is a big map with elevated terrain in the center and a fair distance between the spawn points. It's a 4-player map. So Lambo looks to be opening with a fast expansion, and Terran goes ahead and opens with a barracks and gas. And proceeds pretty normally so far. You'll note that Lambo waits until he's basically saturation mined at his main to throw down his spawning pool and begins scouting with his overlord. So at this point, the Muslim does something kind of cool here, and he just sort of scouts this area to see if an overlord had came from the bottom left-hand location, potentially then trying to kill it with a marine or at least fending it off. Begins to pump a Reaper to do a little scouting, harass, and Lambo goes ahead and takes his second natural, trying to get that early eco advantage. And at the same time, the Muslim grabs his natural expansion and slowly begins to tech. So the Reaper is making its way slowly across the map, scouting, and gets scouted there by an overlord. The Queen is going to be able to fend off a single Reaper anyway. But because this map is so huge, you don't have to worry too much about early aggression and eco or tech focus. Is a pretty safe play. You're going to see a lot more mid-game pushes than early game attacks. At this point, the Muslim does a little add-on switch here to get these early Hellions out and techs to Starport. This is a fairly quick tech build. You'll note he only has a single barracks, so he's trying to do early drop play probably, or liberators, instead of just M&M mass. And you'll see the two Hellions from the factory going to see if they can do a little probe killing action. He's got the Reaper to sort of check out what defenses are where, but the two Queens are pretty much able to fend this off, and the Muslim retreats for fear of losing his Hellions. Lambo powering pretty hard. He's got saturation mining at his natural and at his main. And he throws down a Roach Warren, continuing to make drones. The Muslim setting up a defensive supply depot structure here, narrowing that choke point so that in the event of an early Zerg push, he can force them to come in through this narrow area, get that surround fire, and defend from that strategy. Liberator making its entrance, The Liberator's a great harass unit. It was a little too powerful during the beta, so it got its range cut down. And this attack not really able to do too much damage aside from forcing the drones to hide. And look at this phenomenal economy here that Lambo has accrued. He's basically just pumped drones the entire game. Has a little link force here to put out fires in case there's a drop or what have you. But he's really just focusing on pumping drones. And he's got 17 harvester advantage. So that's going to translate into a bigger army in the mid game. And it's from a straight economic efficiency standpoint, it's efficient to make all your drones up front so that they're mining if you can survive doing so, of course. The Muslim taking his second natural, trying to catch up economically. And look at this tank placement here. This is very nice. On the high ground, an excellent defensive position. It's going to be very difficult to assault the second natural, especially once the bunker is set up. And this is something that Terran does very well, defending, setting up impregnable defenses. But Lambo is going to grab his fourth base now, sort of keep that eco edge. And take a look at this creep spread. He's managed to cover a pretty nice section here of the map in order to have his units moving quicker if they have to defend a base, or of course when they go on the assault. So some roaches here being massed. And we see the inclusion of some Ravagers in the army. And it looks like he is going to attack the defended Terran position. Ravagers using their call down ability here. Really trying to charge into the Terran main. But he is not going to be able to breach these defenses. And these tanks with their Arclight fire. One tank goes down. But another here. And the Roach is still trying to put on some pressure. The Ravagers using their corrosive bile, taking out the Liberators, taking out the tanks. And really nice spread here by the Lambo to sort of minimize the damage of the siege tank. Normally it is suicide to attack a fortified Terran position like this, but Lambo simply does not care. He says, I'm going in, I'm going to attack, and look at this supply advantage that he has now, even after suffering some losses from the Arclight fire. He's got a 70 supply advantage, and it looks like he is not done attacking yet. He's just mercilessly going after the Terran's exposed base, using this corrosive bile to take out the Liberators, to take out the Marines, and just relentlessly. But that was really nice drop tank micro here by the Muslim, moving attack tanks out of the way and holding his base, equalizing that supply disadvantage a little bit as he destroys massive amounts of the Zerg army. And this tank drop defense here, a beautiful play by the Muslim, saving that command center, the orbital command, dodging the corrosive bile, and ultimately forcing the Zerg army to retreat, to call off its attack. Still a one base advantage here by Lambo. And the Muslim grabbing his fourth base. He's going to opt for a planetary fortress in order to defend a little more successfully. Lambo massing again, looking like he's going to attack, throws down a couple Ravager cocoons, and in come the roaches, but no, they're just waiting at the bottom of the ramp, and luckily Lambo is able to save his force with a few timely corrosive biles that caused the Muslim to retreat his infantry forces. Supply count even, and now the Muslims trying a push right through the center of the map. Lambo reacts by retreating as well as countering with a roach force. And the planetary fortress here under attack. Roaches are falling. The SCVs doing a little repair. Will the planetary fortress hold? The splash damage from the fortress really crushing these roaches. And now the Terran push, overlords caught by the attacking infantry forces. The Marines and Marauders and tanks under attack now by a massive Ravager army. Corrosive bile is coming down out of the sky, and it looks like Lambo is going to win this battle. The Muslim desperately trying to save his dropships, and this drop is not going to be successful. The Sunkens and the Ravagers able to hold that off. Corrosive bile doing some damage on these dropships, but not actually able to take them out. Corrosive bile again, taking one dropship out, and Lambo back with a 40 supply count advantage. Still 4 base to 4 base, so economically pretty even. In fact, the Muslims going to try to grab his 5th base soon, right now. So if, and meanwhile, a drop in the Zerg main, he is going to be able to take out that Ultralisk den. And the Muslim is going to escape with his force. So a very nice harass raid, but the corrosive bile taking out a dropship and severely damaging another. Non-stop action here as both players struggle for supremacy. This is a very close game still. Let's look at the supply count. Pretty close, actually. Very even game. And looks like another drop here for the Muslim. The Ravagers already in position, aiming that corrosive bile perfectly, taking out 2 of those dropships. That drop is just utterly denied, and the Muslim is going to have to retreat and regroup. Both players trying to macro up a little bit. Lambo maxing out now. Let's look at the upgrades. Lambo 2-2-2 across the board. Meanwhile, the Muslim, same, 2-2. Both players recognizing how absolutely crucial upgrades are for a long game. And it looks like Lambo is doing A little scouting here with some units attacking, preparing to attack fledgling bases if they were established in these locations. A little Ling run by here. Not going to accomplish too much, but does a nice distraction while Lambo tries to assault the planetary fortress. But that fortress, 39 kills, has really been worth its weight in gold this game, as it saved this base several times. The Muslim trying a little push right now through the center, driving back that creep, which is spread, covering a really nice section of the map here. Really phenomenal creep spread. Gives him great scouting of any attack forces, and there's just so many tumors that it's so difficult to wipe that all out. Little Marine suicide charge here down the right side of the map. Meanwhile, both players trying to mass their army. This is a pretty nice composition. Ultra, Infestor, Viper, and Ravager. Basically able to handle pretty much anything the Terran is going to throw at him. Maybe he'd have a little problem with air, although the Infestors and the Ravagers both able to hit air with their abilities. Five, soon to be 6 bases for the Zerg player. Six going on 7 for the Terran. Both players macroing very, very hard. Both maxed. Little drop action by the Muslim. Maybe he's aiming to take out some of these expansions or hit that main again and target some tech. But the drop has been scouted, and the Ravagers are mobilizing to deal with it, to defend this base. Is the Muslim going to be able to take out this hatchery? It's canceled right in the last second. And a few errant drones picked off by the advanced reinforce. He's going to try to go to the main now. Defended by a queen and 2 Sunkens only. But that's going to be enough, as the Marines taking extremely heavy damage from the Sunkens, simply not able to heal quickly enough. Meanwhile, Lambo, with an attack on one of the Terran bases, does manage to force that command center to fly away. These 3 Reens actually still in the Zerg main, not really doing too much. They've taken out a Sunken and an extractor that really was no use because it was mined out. But maybe they'll take out this hive. And who knows, Lambo might have some trouble reteching without even a layer. Lambo on the move. Massive Ultra Infestor Ravager army about to be confronted by Liberators, Marines, Marauders, and what is this? A massive Ghost Force. That is incredible. That is just beautiful, really. The Ultras laying waste to the Terran expansion, but now the Ghosts are using their rifle shot to try to take out the Ultras. The shot, of course, doing 170 damage, ignoring the armor. So pretty good for taking on heavy units. Planetary Fortress under attack. Meanwhile, a nuclear strike has been called down on this expansion. So these guys are really, and another one over here, these guys are really pulling all the stops. Look at that hit. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, a nuclear strike. Phenomenal. Meanwhile, The Liberators are caught between the fungals and some corrosive bile, as well as a parasitic bomb, and they are going to be wiped out. The Ghosts, using their rifle ability, taking out these Ravagers, doing a lot of damage to the Ultras too. Really a war of attrition here as both forces struggle to get the upper hand. But it looks like Lambo is forced to retreat, and a Muslim in hot pursuit, trying to get some kills. Absolutely dead even supply count, dead even pretty much resource gluts as well. What a phenomenal game. This is still far too close to call really anybody's game. And it looks like the Muslim is going to throw down another nuke. This guy just loves his nuclear strikes. He's like Truman. Meanwhile, Lambo deciding to try a little altered composition on account of the heavy bio component of his opponent's forces, opts for a little Baneling action. And perhaps this is also because he lost his hive, although he does have the Ultralisk Cavern. He does need to get these upgrades for his Banelings. But this is a pretty nice attack force here. And it looks like he's going in. This Ghost is just relentlessly nuking this base. And he is going to be able to take out this hatchery, completely wipe out this expansion with nuclear strikes. Phenomenal. Two Liberators holding the Zerg forces at bay. Not a lot of anti-air in this composition right now. And this one Liberator is just sort of flying around unencumbered. Both players with with these massive maxed armies capable of doing such phenomenal damage. One more base goes down. And both players struggling now economically. Not a lot of income. Fungal growth right on the Ghosts. And in come the Banelings. But it really looks like the Muslim is getting the best of this encounter. And Lambo does not want to lose his army at this stage. That use of the choke there, very nice. The Muslim with a crushing supply advantage. And if you look at the income, that is so crucial right now. Because Lambo is not going to be able to produce a new army. These nuclear strikes are actually bringing him to his knees. They're a phenomenal harass tool, and Lambo is forced to GG. What an incredible showing by the Muslim.